Hi guys, welcome to Migliore Design. I hope everyone is safe in such pandemic situation. And today's our live topic is PSSD. We'll get to know what is PSSD. And our guest is Claudia Alvarez. She is currently doing Mdes in Italy. She have done BDes and she has participated or coordinated in some business summit in New York and some other cities. So we are waiting to join her. Okay. Yeah, here she is. Yeah,
Hello.
yeah. Hi Claudia, how are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for inviting me here today.
Yeah, thanks for accepting invitation.
And
Yeah,
hi to everybody. My name is Claudia Alvarez, and I'm very excited to be with all of you guys and looking forward.
I guess there was some network issue. So before wasting some time, we'll get started with the topic. Yeah. So can you please introduce about yourself?
Sure. I'm a Mexican industrial designer. I'm currently doing my master's degree in Politecnico di Milan here in Italy. And I've been living in Italy now since October from last year. Yes,
Okay,
and the master's degree is on product service systems design.
that's great. And yeah, so before
Yay.
yeah, there are a lot of guys, there would be question session we'll keep after the conversation, so I'm turning off the commenting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so you did BDS and currently doing BDS, so what was your inspiration to get into design? Why you choose design?
Yes. Well, when I was in high school, I
Yeah,
I only knew that I wanted to study something that was related to people,
absolutely.
to science and arts. And back then, I couldn't imagine myself doing the same thing every day. So, like designing houses, maybe not because it's always buildings or houses, no? That was like in my mindset back then. So
Absolutely.
I didn't know much about design, but I I I said, well, at least maybe someday I design shoes, and then another day I can design another type of things, maybe furniture, right?
Absolutely.
So basically, what convinced me to study design was the ability, like because it was broad and I can do different things, and the fact that it has to do with people, with science, and with art all together. Yes.
That's great. So what happened currently here in India, mostly guys do engineering first and then they go for master program and they didn't think about the further things. And as you have done the Bachelor of Design and then currently you are doing the MDS. So
Mhm.
what difference you find out in BDS and in MDS?
Okay. Well, can I ask you something first?
Yeah, yeah, surely you can ask.
How does university work in India? Like, what's a common day in university or a common semester there?
Okay, so there are in undergraduate for engineering or BDS you're asking.
It could be engineering.
Okay, so here there is the undergraduation of 4 years, and in every year there are 2 semesters of 6 months. Okay, and there are
Okay.
subjects wise pattern, and we have to study like every subjects. And then as we grow up, like second year, third year, then some of more deeper and some harder subjects. Yeah, so this is
So you
the
have
schedule.
lots of theory.
Pardon?
You have a lot of theory?
Yeah, a lot of theories in engineering. Yeah, but as
Okay.
compared to BDS, I guess it's not much. Yeah,
Mm. Okay, so like I see lots of differences between the bachelor and the master's, but I think many of them are also related, that the fact that in Mexico is different than in Italy.
absolutely. Yeah.
So for example, my home university, when I was studying my bachelor's degree, it was very practical. It was not much of a, like, not much theory. It was more like we were on the lab doing prototypes, working on our
Practice.
projects. Teachers were more like guides rather than teaching or like giving lots of theory. So you had to be like very self-taught, very curious. You had to do lots of research by yourself, and theory teachers were there in case you had questions and you needed some guidance. But they never told you exactly what to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here in the masters is very different because I'm having more theory. It's very practical, but there's also lots of theory. So you have professors and they give you lectures. Sometimes you have guest lecturers that there are experts in a certain topic that it's important for you to know. And lots of teamwork.
Absolutely.
So another difference that I see, like in my bachelor's degree, the groups were very small. We were like 16 people. I don't know how big are groups in India in university.
Yeah, here it is. Population is 1.3 billion, and there are in undergraduate almost 60 to 80 students in one class.
How
So
many?
so much, 60 or 80. It's so
Okay,
much. Yeah.
okay. So now in the masters, here we have a group of 90 people.
Okay, that's
So
great.
it's like a big group compared to what I was used to in my bachelor's in design.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think that is also related to how the university works here in Italy because it changes in each country also.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So talking about design colleges, so what do you think? Which are the best colleges in the world, or in Italy, or in Europe?
The best what?
Colleges or universities to study Bachelor of Design or Master of Design worldwide? What do you think?
Okay, I recommend checking the ranking that they have of the top of universities in the world in design. I can share the link with you so you can share it to the people that are listening today.
Yeah, sure.
But for example, if you're interested in Europe, the first and second place of this ranking are in London, well, in United Kingdom. So
Yeah.
there's Royal College of Arts and there's the University of Arts of London. And Politecnico is in the fifth place on that ranking.
Okay.
And what's really amazing about this university is that in this top five, it's the only public school, Politecnico di Milano. And it's the only school that speaks another country that it's not English. Of course, if you don't know Italian, you can study your master's in English here in Politecnico. But
Okay.
it's like very amazing because the universities are on the top five are usually like from United States or United Kingdom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's great. So you are currently doing masters in PSSD, Product Service System Design. So can you
Mhm.
please elaborate more about it?
Sure. Do you in your city do you have like the public bikes?
Public bikes. Yeah, there are public bikes.
Like there's stations and you have
Yeah,
an app
stations.
and you
Yeah,
can use a bike. Well, that's an example of a service system.
absolutely.
So what we do here is think about the wide picture. Instead of focusing only on the products, we think about the different stakeholders. Like, for example, in the bikes, you have the product that it's the bike. You have stations and strategic points of the city. Then there's a whole experience that it was designed, like how do you
Initial.
subscribe to the service, how how long does the subscription last, how is the experience of using that bike for the first time, is it intuitive to know how to pick up the bike and how to return it to the station. So all of these questions or all of these little steps that are involved in the experience of using the bike service are what product service system designers think about. So also, you think about people, you think about companies, you think about the products, you think
Absolutely.
about the environment, because you want to design a system that benefits the most amount of people possible. So
Absolutely.
this is like a
Whole
wide
picture.
overview of what's
Yeah.
product service system design. But if you have a specific question, I can elaborate more
Yeah.
on it.
We'll talk on this further. Yeah. So,
Yes.
like as you have given the example of bicycle and the bike one. So, is there any other platform you work on, like digital platform you also work on in PSSD?
Can you repeat a question, please?
Like, as you have given the example of bike in the city
Mhm.
for the worldwide and for the wider scope for the PSSD. So, my question is, do you work on digital platform for PSSD also, like digital platform in the sense digital app, mobile application?
Okay,
You guys,
so
yeah.
let me see if I understood. So, like, what do we learn to design in PSSD?
Uh, no, actually, when you are working on the bike,
Mm-hmm.
some that topic, okay. So you require some mobile application. So it is included in your part, right? So you work on
Yes.
digital portion also. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go with further question. Okay,
Perfect.
so what skills required to get into it? What do you think?
What's like, what abilities do you have to have, right?
Yeah,
Um, okay, first, like the basic things about design, like knowing Illustrator and Photoshop, like to survive.
yeah,
um, have a background on design is important or related to that topic. But more of soft skills, I think you have to be very open-minded to working with people that come from different cultures and from different backgrounds, because it's a very multidisciplinary masters. So it's
yes,
multidisciplinary and also multicultural.
absolutely,
You have to be open to to be a good team player, like to work in teams, to collaborate, to receive feedback, to be a good listener, and also to be good at asking questions. So basically, soft skills are very important. Maybe have like your your purpose. If we want to talk
okay.
about technical
I
things
guess,
to
yeah,
be accepted,
I guess there is requirement of user experience widely, right? Because we have to do a lot of research to get into some project and to get done some project, right? You might
yes.
have doing a lot of research work, exploring
Mhm.
thing, ethnography, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's very interesting. And as you have done BDS, you might have done a lot of sketching. After this, in MDS, you are not doing much sketching, right? In
That's
PSSD.
true. Yes, that's true. You don't get to sketch more a lot. It's more like being very observer, discuss, um, think about think about the different consequences that service or that system can cause, and be willing to iterate a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
iteration would be there. Go further than going back with it.
yes.
Yes,
The sketching is always good because it's a way to translate what you have in your mind into something that is a bit more tangible or easier to understand for the
absolutely.
others. So if you love sketching, don't worry. That ability will be very positive in this master's, because also we also do a lot of storytelling. So we get to sketch lots of storyboards and things like that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, so you are currently into enrolled with this program, PSSD, and what are the projects you have done in college or in university?
In the first semester, we did a project related to imagine how will California be in the year of 2036, and design a product using paper pulp for that year to solve a problem of that future. This semester, like in the first part of the semester, we had a very interesting class, which is prototyping. So when you prototype a product, well, you do a model, right? But
Absolutely.
how do you prototype a service? So what we did, we watched an episode of Black Mirror, and we thought
On
about all
Netflix.
the
Yeah.
negative things of that episode and try to transform that service into something more positive. Do a new proposal of that service. And to share that idea, we had to prototype it. And in that class, we learned how to prototype that like more positive service through designing an experience or designing something that had to do with the video.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like you have done these projects. Also, I wanted to ask you, like PSSD is very specific branch, like system, like mostly masters, they provide fashion design, automotive design, like sketching related, or like aesthetic related mostly in Europe or in worldwide also. In your college, Politecnico di Milano, and any other college providing this same degree. Like I guess it's in ACCD, Art Center College of Design, right?
There's similar like masters. For
Yeah.
example, service design can be very related in some way. So there are plenty of schools that have masters in service design. I know that in Denmark there's something very similar. Um, I cannot tell you like a specific program because I was a little bit biased by Italy. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah,
very,
I didn't like look in other schools. I was like,
I can
I wanted
understand
to be
that
a Politecnico in some way.
because Italy is
So
the basic of design. Like all design
yeah.
started in Italy, Europe, like Germany. Yeah,
Hmm.
like Michelangelo, and then all the background belong to Italy, and everyone wanted to study design in Italy. So I can
Yeah,
understand your point. Yeah,
yes, it's a great city to study design. I do recommend it.
sure. And those who wanted to study master guys, you can go for Italy. As Claudia having experience, and my some friends also used to tell me that yeah, you can go for European countries like Italy, Germany. Yes. Okay. So in PSSD, what are the future scope? What do you think?
I think it's very important um, that we think, yes, on intangible things, for example, things that are digital, but not getting stuck in only digital because future is synonym of digital. No, I think we have to think of a combination between digital and tangible things because something that happened the last year, like all of a sudden going everything in digital, we were missing and we miss a lot the like the tangible touch, the human touch. So it's creating like hybrid experiences. Very important to think about the ethics of what you're designing because if you don't think of the consequences, maybe some effects or side effects of your design can be very negative to humanity or to the, the ecosystem, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's very important to always think if you're creating a service that has to do with artificial intelligence, with big data, think about the privacy, think about the data usage, think about the ethics, right? That the algorithm that you're designing is not biased also. So it's very important to think a lot, to have like a very critical mindset before launching your product to the market and testing it a lot before launching it.
Absolutely. Like in recent time, if we seen the example of product design, and mostly that product whichever we used to create in like by casting method, thermoforming method, or any other method we used to manufacture. Like let's say this is the mouse. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it is the product. but currently it's going all digital. We are having the touch screen, like we don't require this thing like scrolling bar or any other clicking also, like we are just have one haptic touch. So mostly the future is going digital, right? And as per the future or as per the scope, we have to predict the things and we have to think for our service, right?
Yes. So, for example, another thing about product service system is that, okay, one characteristic is that people not necessarily need to own things. For example, the bike sharing or the car sharing product systems,
Yes,
you no longer need to have a car in your house that maybe 7 days a week you don't use, right?
absolutely.
So creating systems that let you use a service without needing to own things is also like a tendency, right? Um, so, for example, instead of creating more chairs and wasting plastic, wasting resources, maybe you create a company that you rent chairs, right? So in this way, you don't need to own the chair, but you can rent the chair whenever you need it. And when you don't need that chair, someone else can be using that same chair, right? The
Absolutely.
same happens with the bikes, with the cars, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a good example is a shared vehicle like Uber, Ola. We don't have to buy the
Exactly.
car, and whenever we want, as the population is growing, we don't have much space and global warming issues. There are a lot of issues. So for for maintaining sustainability, we require this kind of service like Uber. Whenever we want car, we get that and we feel right. We go for ride, right? So
Yes.
that's very great work from service designers or system service designer. Yeah.
So now that you were mentioning like the mobility part, mobility is like a big issue in many countries, like
Yeah.
very difficult in some hours of the day to move from point A to point B. So this
Absolutely.
is like there's many problems like this that are very complex that you cannot solve with a simple product or with only a service. So product service system can help you think of the wider picture and think
Yes.
about the different stakeholders and try to create like a more complex or more integral solution to a wicked problem, to say it in some way.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things we have to consider and getting to one converging small solution, right? As compared, as we are taking the example of mobility, in USA we have a lot of space. We have a wider road and big cars. As compared to Europe, where you are living, there are very small roads and require small cars. Yeah. So according to region, it might get affected. Service
Yes.
system. Yes. Okay. Then further talking about the subjects. Currently, which subjects you having, and further which you have to study in PSSD.
The kind of subjects, well, we have UX design, something called Innovation Studio. That's where we did the project of California in the future, 2036. We have service design, we have prototyping, then we have like the principal studio, that's product service system. This semester is the first time that I have that studio, so I'm pretty new to this. Yeah, that's like the main classes that I've had so far
Yeah.
in the
Also,
first
you might.
year.
That's great. Also, you might studying ergonomics. Also.
Not like, okay, that's the difference between the masters and the bachelors. So in the bachelor's in service in product design, you did study ergonomics, like an entire year of ergonomics. Here, we don't have like a specific class related to ergonomics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I guess we are going. we have limited time. So,
Mhm.
what your message for aspiring designers or those who wanted to in this field?
Okay. So if you want to be a designer, I recommend you to be like a kid. So what are characteristics of kids? Kids ask a lot of questions, right? Kids are very curious. They feel very marveled by their surroundings. What else? They're confident. They're very confident. They're open to learn and to unlearn, to receive feedback. So all of these characteristics are very essential for designers. Um, a touch of silliness is also very positive.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's great. Also, I guess we have covered some questions, and there might be some questions from audience also. So
Okay.
let's get open this comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, you can comment your question if you're having any question related to PSSD, or if you want to ask some question to Claudia related to BDS, MDS.
So
Also,
there's
one more.
some of my classmates from PSSD that are watching. Maybe they want to add something because every person has a different point of view. Also, yes,
Yeah. Also, I had one question. As in your
yes,
experience, you have mentioned like you have coordinated some couple of entrepreneur simulation in New York and some other countries. So, can you explain what was that? How you contributed your work?
yeah. So I studied design, but I never worked exactly like I didn't have to work exactly as a designer. Mostly, what I did was work with startups. So when I finished my bachelor's degree, I went to Boston and I did a 3-week entrepreneurial simulator. And when I came back to Mexico, I really loved like the startup life, entrepreneurship, and things like that. So I started working with initiatives related to entrepreneurship, like organizing live events for startups so they can do a pitch in 99 seconds. I worked on an incubator, business incubator, and also on a business consultancy firm. So mostly of my experience is being more like design methodologies applied in business to help like tech startups launch to the market.
That's
So I
great.
think there was a question.
Yeah, there is question. So, Anshika is asking, what is the role of designers in this pandemic? Yeah. What do you think?
Okay, that's a very wide question and tough one. Mm, I think designers can take different roles. It depends. Let me think about it because it's a really, really wide question.
Yeah, because currently there is pandemic situation there, COVID, and everyone has to social distance, have to live in the very limited space. So as a designer, I guess there is lot of opportunities, like
Mhm.
on mask
I can
also. There
give
are
you
a
an
lot.
example.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
example,
Go ahead.
related to product service system, like a solution that they created during the pandemic. So, you know that you had to have social distance, but you still needed to go to the hospital. But it was very dangerous to be inside a hospital during this time because maybe you didn't have COVID, but you were risking your health by going inside the installation, right?
Yes,
So what a designer can think of in this situation is, why don't we do a drive-through, right, service? So you're in your car and you drive near the hospital, and instead of you needed to go outside your car to enter the hospital, why don't the doctors go towards you when it's your turn to be an attendant, right? So you
yes,
have to think of the service, how the car will arrive to the hospital, how can the doctors attend the patients, how to stay protected, right? Another thing that can be related to design, or I don't want to say like, oh, only designers can do that, because we
Yeah,
are
anyone.
design,
Yeah,
right?
everyone is kind of designer. If you're having the solution for the problem, yeah, you are a designer, right?
But another thing, like it's like a big trend that came even wider during the pandemic, related to health also, is that, for example, you don't need to go necessarily to the dentist in person to have your teeth fixed. So
Yes.
there's many, for example, startups that they send you a kit to your home, and you can do the test on distance. And okay, there's a product involved, there's packaging, there's logistics,
All
um,
stakeholders.
stakeholders. So all of these things you have to think when you're designing. So what does this have to do with the pandemic and designer's role? Well, if there's restrictions that you cannot be in person, that you have to have social distance, okay, you have to find solutions to problems considering the restrictions. So designers are very creative people, right?
Yes.
What are creative solutions you can find to those problems? So sometimes restrictions can be something positive, right? To create
Yes.
something that is innovative or disruptive.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I guess you got answer,
I
Anshika. Then next question is from Kushbu. So what are your views on designers' growth in this field? So I guess she might asking how is the growth of a designer in your field?
How is the growth of designer in the field?
Yeah, like kind of future scope. What are the further jobs or like related things she might asking, I guess.
Mhm. I like that question a lot, because I'm also searching for answers. So actually, I'm right now I'm hosting a podcast for designers, in which I'm documenting my journey to finding an answer to that question.
That's great.
So what do designers have to learn or have to do to like survive in the future? Um, so if you're a Spanish speaker, you can listen to that podcast. If
Yeah,
not,
I tried that on
I
that day.
can I, some of the insights that I have, but I still don't have an answer for that. I think something that is very important is for designers to not be like, to take away that idea of becoming a rock star and doing things by themselves and becoming a brand. I think it's very important to work on team, because if you work on multidisciplinary teams, you can achieve more. You can see a problem from different angles and find a better solution. So I think that's really important for designers, like to stop thinking about only themselves
Yeah.
and be
Okay.
open to working with other disciplines, to be very curious about mega trends related to technology, mega trends related to what's happening in society is very important.
Yeah. Actually. Okay. I guess Kushbu have got the answer.
Hmm.
She also asking about the future job also. Okay. We'll go for further question. Like in
Okay.
our case studio. So is there much role of visual graphics or sketching or doodling in this your field? What do you think?
Is there much role of visual graphics or sketching and doodling in design? In design in general, or in design of what I'm studying?
Uh, I guess he or she might be asking about in PSSD. Like in design, we require sketching and all these skills, but in like product service system design, what do you think? How much is the role of sketching?
Okay. So I was talking about that a while ago, that the center of this master's is not creating amazing sketches, but if you are good at sketching, I think that's really positive, because it will be easy for you to translate your ideas. So if you want to communicate maybe an idea of how a service would work, the fact of sketching can work to communicate it to your teammates or to the stakeholders, to your clients, with the people
Absolutely.
you're working with. So I think drawing is an amazing ability and it could be very helpful, especially to be able to communicate. About graphic design, product service system design is like a mixture of many things. So it's a mixture of graphic design, yes. So if you're good at it, that's amazing. It's a mixture of product design. So if you're good at sketching products and designing products, if you have like a good eye for that, that's something very positive. And it's also a combination of designing services and experiences. So if you're really good at paying attention in the details, that's also something very positive. So I think if you're looking, it depends on what you're looking for, right? But your ability to sketch will be very positive for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next question is from Pratiksha. What is your opinion on online design courses? What do you think?
My opinion, I think it's, I don't have like an opinion on whether it's good or bad, but um, in general, having courses online, I think makes it easier for us to learn anything, whether it's design, whether it's programming, something related to entrepreneurship. It makes knowledge more accessible, and I think that's something amazing.
Yeah. As in like online courses, it is also part of PSSD, right? You are
Mhm.
going to create some surrounding. Yeah.
I want to add something related to the online courses. I think also more than if your dream is to become a great designer, more than doing lots of online design courses, I think what makes you be a great designer is the practice. So you can do 60 design online courses, but you will need to practice and practice and practice and practice a lot to become a good designer. So more
Yes.
than design courses, practice is important. 50-50 probably.
Absolutely. Okay. So there is another question from Anuj. Would it
Mm-hmm.
be beneficial if one go for MBA after design? So he's asking like after BDS, is it beneficial for going MBA instead of MDS?
Like studying a master's in business administration.
Yeah, masters like business administration. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think um, I think we there's not one path to do things.
Absolutely.
So you can study to be a doctor and you can become a designer or you can become an entrepreneur. You can study to be a lawyer and at the end you will become whatever you want to become.
Yeah,
So
totally
if
agree. Yeah.
if you want to enter the business world and you're a designer, for sure you can study an MBA and succeed and it will be amazing because when I used to work in the incubator, many of the people that were working there were designers that studied MBAs. So because design methodologies and the methodologies on the startup world or in business world are related in some way because you're looking to solve problems for people and you need to consider consequences. You need to consider that many people win and get benefit from a product, from a service. So it's very related.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess Anuj, you have got the answer. So there is next question from Khushbu. What is the hardest art school to get into? Okay, so she's asking which is the tough college to get into.
I don't know, and I don't really know because I didn't send applications to many schools, so I cannot tell you, well, I tried this school 5 times and it's really difficult. Mm, some people
Okay, I
think
have
about the
answer of
price.
this. I have
Mm-hmm.
answer of this. Let me. So according to India, there are some
Mm-hmm.
best college like IITs and NID, and their entrance is little tough than getting into private colleges. So in India, these are the colleges. And about
Mm-hmm.
worldwide, if you are talking about then for automotive design, P4ZM in Germany, then UMEA in Sweden, they are tough to get into.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
but
the
if you,
expert. He's the expert on that.
no, no, not much. Yeah, okay, we'll go ahead with next question.
Mm-hmm.
Anshika is asking how to develop our skills. Like, what is the process? Any skills you're having, like your experience, how you develop any skills? You can talk
Any
about this.
skill, discipline, and practice. So, I don't know if you guys know Seth Godin.
No,
So,
can you please elaborate it? Yeah.
Seth Godin is a writer and marketer. Um, I think he's the founder of MailChimp. But I know him because of his books and talks and interviews that people make to him. So he talks a lot about writer's block, so that you have the white page and you don't have ideas and you don't know what to write about. So he says that there's no such thing as writer's block. If you want to become a writer, write every day. No matter if you don't have an idea of what to write about. So I
Absolutely.
think the key to develop any skill is to do it every day. So what do runners do? They run every day. What do famous cartoonists do? They draw every day, all day. So if you want to develop a skill, put a post-it in your mirror and remind yourself to practice every day.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So I would also wanted to add something like passion, enthusiasm should be there. As you talk about every day. So for every day, we require that enthusiasm from inside, right? That light should be blown up always.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, we'll go for next question as we have less time and we are going to cover some 2-3 questions now, guys. Okay, so next question is from Pratiksha again. How do you define a good design? So, what do you think? Which is good design and which is bad design?
Okay. Mm, I think a good designer is someone who is willing to unlearn what they already know, because the world is changing a lot. So the world we live on today is not the same one as 2 years ago. So if
Yes,
you want to succeed as a designer, you have to be able to unlearn and to be able to learn new things. So maybe right now 3D modeling in the computer is a thing, but maybe next year you will need to forget about that and learn something new, because maybe you will be representing your prototypes on virtual reality or something like that. We don't know right now.
yes,
Um, so yeah, I think a good designer is someone who is willing to unlearn and learn, and someone who cares for others. And by others, I also mean um, non-humans, like animals, nature. So the city, mm, yeah. So have a
yes,
genuine care for others.
absolutely. So, I guess you have answered the second question of Anshika. So, she had asked about how to be a good designer, and the question was asked by Pratiksha was how to define or how do you define a good design. So, I would like to answer this. So, in short, so whether your design fulfilling the solution of the problem and it having aesthetics, so in short, form with functionality, so that is a good design. Okay, I guess Pratiksha, this is the answer for the question. There is another question from the guy. What is the hardest part to studying in Milano? and what is your favorite part about masters? So what do you
Okay.
think? Yeah.
The hard part, mm, I think the hard part can also be my favorite part, which is teamwork. Because it's hard because you have to let go of your ego and you have to be able to
Yeah,
like
I
you
can
have to
understand.
be a good listener and be open to discussions and to accepting ideas that maybe you don't agree on, but you can give them a chance. So that's a hard part because you're working with people that are from other countries and maybe there's a language barrier and it's difficult to communicate with each other and it's maybe difficult also for you to communicate. So that makes it hard. And and working on team is also time management. So it's difficult because maybe when you have a deadline, um, we all react in different ways.
Absolutely. So his question was contrast. Like he had asked about hard part and simultaneously asking about your favorite part in masters.
So my favorite part is meeting the different people. So what is really cool about this master's is that 50% of the students are Italian and 50% are from different countries. So I have classmates from China, from India, from the Middle East, from Latin America, from Europe.
Well,
So that part is amazing because you get to make friends from all over the world. You get to see ways of looking at something that you didn't even imagine. So the people are the best thing of the masters.
yeah, absolutely. Guys, we are running with time and we will cover some few questions. So we'll conclude quickly, guys. So next question is from Aniket. He is asking, what inspired you to keep on designing for social impact?
Mm, what kept me, like, what motivated me to keep designing
Yeah,
for social impact? I don't know.
what
I never
inspired?
ask myself. I just do things sometimes.
Okay, cool. So we'll go for next question. Is
Okay.
that a good design have different questions or it should be simple in use? I'm not getting the question. Is that a
Okay.
good
Let me
design?
find the question.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is it? Ah,
In the studio. Yeah. Some last fourth. Check last fourth.
okay, go. What challenge did you face in the product design? No. Is it okay? Is that a good design? Have different questions, or it should be simple in use? Okay, I think I understand.
Okay.
So whether does a good design necessarily have to be simple to use? I think no. Because when you design something, you have to think of the intention of why you're designing. So um, if you're designing for a person, let's say a person that is very into challenges and likes the feeling of overcoming something that is difficult, maybe you have to design an experience that could be a bit challenging for that person so he can feel satisfied, right? So you have to think about who you're designing for and what's the intention of that design. What's like the aim?
Absolutely.
How, why would, like, how will you measure the success of your design? So if you have a client, ask him that question. How will you know, or how will you define that my design was successful? And depending on what's the intention, if the intention is for the design to be easy to use, well, you have to make it easy to use. If the intention is that maybe the person needs to feel that there's a level of challenge, well, you have to design something that makes that. I will give a very simple example. if you're designing a machine to do exercise in the gym, and if you always make it easy to use, like that you will never feel effort in your muscles, maybe it's not,
Good design.
yeah, but of course it doesn't have to be confusing, like that someone stands in front of it and they don't know how to use it, right?
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm like mixing my
And not an
ideas
issue.
or if I'm being
Not an issue. I wanted to add one more points. Like
Mm-hmm.
in design, very first thing is understanding the problem, identifying the problem, understanding who is your user, primary, secondary, tertiary, and then empathizing it, getting the persona, and we are understanding what they need. If we are taking the example of pilot, right? So everyone is not able to become a pilot, and whatever the solution in front of him, uh, not a normal person going to understand that buttons and all the knobs and screens, right? So that design is little complicated, not a simple, and for that only that pilot purpose he required that specific training, right? So sometimes it is would be simple, sometimes it would be tough, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess we should go for next question. There is question from Akhil. What challenges do you face in product design? I guess we have covered a lot of questions related to product design. Uh, so you go through some design process, Akhil, and you will get problems, and then you will face that challenges, I guess. What do you think, Claudia?
Um, the challenges, it depends on what the client is asking you to design. I think sometimes when you prototype, you find out about many things that can go wrong. So something that's very common is that you sketch and you see something in one way, but when you want to prototype it, you figure out many things that go wrong. So
These are the
mm,
challenges.
that's like you have to do many tries and you have to be able to redo things a lot of times until you get it right. And not only stay prototyping your idea, because you also have to know how people feel with that product. So at the same time that you're prototyping, you have to test it with your clients or with the people that will use it. So it's like time can be a challenge for product designers, because if you have a deadline, how are you going to iterate a lot? And how are you going to test it with your users if you don't have the time? So
Yes,
that could be one of the
challenge.
challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll go for next question. That illusion, like what you do, let go your ego while working in team. What you do to let go your ego while working in team.
I think it's being self-conscious, like detecting when you're behaving in a way that you're letting yourself, that it's your ego and that you're not collaborating. So being self-aware is very important. So like maybe when you're feeling um, exhausted or like frustrated, mad, or that you feel like things are not going well in your team, like stop, go to the bathroom, breathe, and like think if it's like your ego who's doing that mess with you.
Yeah, I have one solution for this. Breathe in, breathe out. Take a long breath, leave it, and
Yes,
give some time, take some rest, and then go back to team and work. Right?
and take it easy. It's not a big deal. Like if things go wrong, it's okay. Things things if things go wrong doesn't mean that you're a bad person or bad designer. So it's okay to make errors and to accept ideas that probably you don't believe in them. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess you got an answer. There is another question from Monica. Hi, Monica. So as you mentioned about service design, what do you think major difference between service design versus service design?
It's a tricky
I guess.
question.
Okay, no, no, not service design versus product design. She mentioned. Okay, so what do you think? Difference between service design and only product design?
Um, well, the service, I'm really new on service design, so this is like what I know right now. So don't believe me everything. So the service, from my perspective, service design focuses on things that are not tangible. So it could be a doctor gives a service. Going to a lawyer is a service. Going and buy ice cream, you can make it. An ice cream can be a product probably, but you get it, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
services
have,
are
I
not
have
tangible.
answer for this. I guess. Should I?
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting.
No,
Yeah, you
no, go on.
continue then. Yeah. Okay, so like as in service, it is worldwide or like very wider scope. Let's say talk about like manufacturing this mouse. So all the logistic and all the stakeholders and you require all the stuffs, right? From the starting to end. So it's whole service, right? And then about the product. So it's only simple product, but it having a lot of iteration. So it is one of the small part in that service design. Like here it is the very wider from starting with ideation, not ideation, considering who is running the business to the user, right? From starting to end process, whole it is service. But in that creating this mouse here it would be. So as the service is wider and the product design is smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, so a service can involve products also, and product is more something tangible. For me, that's the main difference: tangible and intangible.
Yeah, like where we wanted to go as per the future is going, mostly intangible things are there, right? Okay, so we are going to head with the last question, guys. So how design thinking helps sustainable development? Yeah.
Um, Design thinking, because it puts people in the center. So considering the people is also considering their needs and their opinions. And many of the sustainable goals have to do with the people. I just want to add that design thinking is not all. There's different ways to approach the different problems. So there's also futures thinking. So um, yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
okay.
Mhm.
About the question, just a minute. Yeah. So design thinking will help to think, I guess, and sustainable development is totally related to global warming and how we wanted to add the like it's if we're talking about the example of architectures. So we are
Mhm.
thinking like buildings will not use much electricity. Buildings will not require that electricity will having that cause electricity causes global warming and any other things. So like design thinking we can apply the plantation on the building and we will make it more spacious, lot of light can enter, lot of air can enter. So that's how the design thinking will help, I guess. And there are a lot of approaches by designers, right? So
Well,
we'll talk
basically,
about.
design thinking is like the design process, like the mindset of the designer. So it's the like listening to people's needs, prototyping since the beginning, validating your prototypes, iterating, and repeat the process again, and validate, test, and then put it on the market. So it's one approach, and it helps sustainable development because you're like prototyping and validating and considering people since the beginning. So it helps you like improve your solution or your idea quicker.
Yes. Okay, so one last question we are going to take. So consider a design is made. According to us, it's a good design, but how we will check that it's been well designed, good for all?
It's very difficult. I recommend you a book that's called Value Sensitive Design. which it talks about how you can look at the whole context. Like, it's a book that like a reflection, and it gives you some methodologies of possible workshops and approaches on how you can think of all the consequences. So I recommend you reading that book, and I think it could answer your question.
Absolutely.
Value sensitive design. I will share with you the link of the book, also of the ranking of universities and of the master's program if someone is interested in knowing more. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, we are concluding this session here. But before ending, if you're having any questions to Migliore Design or to Claudia or how to enter into Italy, so you can just ping us or you can ask for the mail ID. We'll provide you and you can have your further questions because we are. It's been 1 hour and we are totally running with the time. Okay, so thank you so much all guys for being here, giving your time, asking the questions. It was really nice to be here, and we thank Claudia for having here and giving your precious time.
Oh, thank
So
you
thank
for
you
the
so much again.
invitation. I enjoyed the conversation, and you guys had really great questions. I say hi to Jorge, a friend from Mexico, Ty, one of my new classmates, and I say hi to everybody.
Yeah,
It was great. Thank you.
thank you. So guys, yeah, be safe. This is pandemic. Okay, and yeah, we'll meet Claudia. Okay, so
Okay.
have a great day. Bye bye guys. Bye bye
Bye-bye. See
Claudia.
you.
Thank you all.
Bye.